So we're going to continue with our Unit 4 review in preparation for the upcoming test. So this is kind of the portion of our review and our test that's going to focus on some of these older skills. So we want to make sure we're doing well to prepare for those. These were probably, honestly, the exponents. The exponents, there's no fraction, well, there's some fractions here, but exponents and fractions are definitely giving us the biggest problem. So we want to make sure we're keeping our practice alive here. Okay, so simplify. We're just going to go ahead and simplify a few of these. Make sure we're remembering our rules, right? So we have 2x to the 5th power multiplied by 7x to the 4th power. So we're going to multiply all this stuff together, right? So really we have 2 times 7 times x to the 5th times x to the 4th, right? I'm just writing it in a different order. When I multiply, the order doesn't really matter. So 2 times 7 is 14. And I have x to the 5th. Remember, that's 5 x's being multiplied together, multiplied by x to the 4th, which is 4 x's being multiplied together. So altogether, I'd be multiplying 9 together. X's. All right, so here I have 9x to the 6th squared, right? So, this would be 9 squared times x to the 6th squared, which would be 81 times x to the 12th. And if I wanted to use my expansion model and write it all out, I could, but at this point, especially when we start having negative exponents and things, it's a lot easier if you are able to utilize our rules. So here we have 24, I'm just going to write this one because it's pretty small, 24x to the 5th y to the 4th over 4x squared y squared. So I just wrote this over to make it a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to focus piece by piece. So this right here, right, 24 over 4, that is just a 6, right? I could make it 6 over 1. This part right here, I have 5 x's on top and 2 on the bottom. So the 2 on the bottom are going to cancel out with the first 2 on the top. So I'm going to be left with 5 minus 2 is 3. And here I'm going to have 4 y's on top and 2 on bottom. So remember, when I'm dividing them, they cancel. So 6x to the 3rd y squared, right, over 1. I could get rid of the over 1 if I wanted to. And then finally over here, right, I'm multiplying all these things together. So that means I'm going to find the numbers and multiply those. Well, I just have a 3. X to the 5th, y to the 3rd, t to the 4th, x. Well, I've got 5 x's and 1 x being multiplied, so that's a total of 6. And then this other stuff doesn't have any other. There's only 1 y and 1 t term, so. All right, that's it. Simplifying expressions with our exponent rules. So we've got a whole section here on solving. So I'm just going to do a couple of these because the video is pretty short. So solve each equation. So we looked at a bunch of different ways we could do solving last chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of focus on what's probably the most used techniques. So we have 6 times x minus the quantity x minus 3 equals 36. So one of the things we looked at was we could, why is this not working for me? All right, so we could distribute. So we're going to end up with 6x minus 18 equals 36, right? We just multiplied our 6 through all the way. And if I like to do it this way, I can, right? I need to get this, my goal is to get this x all by itself. So the first thing I have to do is get rid of the minus 18 because that's a term attached with the term I want to get alone. So I have to add the 18 to both sides. Negative 18 and 18, that's going to give me a 0. So that got that out of there. 36 plus 18 is 54. Excuse me. So now I have my x multiplied with the 6, so I got to divide that away. And I do the same thing over here. Right, so That got the x all by itself. 54 divided by 6 is 9. All right, over here, same idea. We got to distribute to start. So I'm going to distribute. So 4x minus 8 plus 6 equals 8x minus 5. All I've done is distribute, and I rewrite one thing every step. So I'm going to draw my line down here. I can look on this side, and I can see I have two things on the same side that I can stick together. Same side. So minus 8 plus 6, I can combine those for a minus 2. So every step I'm only doing one thing. So now I've got it with an x term and a constant on each side. I'm going to go ahead and get all the x's on one side. So I'm going to choose to subtract 4x. Get rid of those. And I have negative 2 equals 8 minus 4 is 4. So 4 x's. Then I got to get these all by themselves. X term, so add the 5 to get rid of this. And negative 2 plus 5 is 3. 3 equals 4x. And then if I divide away the 4, I ran out of room at the bottom, but x equals 3 over 4. All right, that's all that was left over here. All right. I think we can finish these in reasonable time. So, all right, now we have fractions, solving equations with fractions. So a lot of people are trying to turn these into decimals, which, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world to do. But the best thing to do, because not every time are we going to be able to turn these into nice decimals, like, you know, this would be 0.2, and 1 over 5 is 0.2, 3 over 4 is 0.75. Those are okay, but if I had like 3 over 7, that's going to be an ugly decimal that keeps going, and I don't want to introduce that into my equation. So what we're going to do is eliminate fractions by multiplying by the lowest common denominator, right? So 5 and 4 are, I can just multiply them together and get 20. So I'm going to multiply my whole equation by 20 all the way through. And what I end up with when I do that is 20 over 5 times x plus 20 times 3 is 60 over 4 equals 20 times 6 is 120 over 1. So I just multiplied all of the numerators by 20. And now if I reduce them, they should go away. So 4x plus 15, oops, there's supposed to be an x. X equals 120. 19x equals 120. And if I divide away the 19, x is 120 divided by 19. 19 is a prime number. There's nothing, no factors of 19. So I know if I have that in there, I'm done reducing. And finally over here, I mean, we could solve this just as it is, just number 14. I could subtract 0.5 from both sides and then divide by 0.4. But again, let's practice something, right? I know I would like all the decimals to go away, so I need them all to go to the right one time. I can move decimals to the right one time, remember, if I multiply by 10. Right, so now when I multiply this 10 all the way through, 10 times 0.4 is just 4. So all the decimals are going to move to the right one time. And then from here, it's a pretty simple problem. And subtract the 5 to get rid of it there and there. Or x equals 20. If I divide away the 4, right, 4 times what is 20? 5. And so this one I could have done it in my calculator, right? If I just subtract 0.5, I'd have 2.0. And when I subtract 2.0, excuse me, divide 2.0 by 0.4, I would also get 5. So by hand, it's a little bit easier to just move all the decimals by multiplying by 10. All right, 15. So these are the ones that 15 and 16 are going to require that we use. We don't really have the the skills taught to us yet to solve these, like showing all your work using logarithms. So we're going to just kind of make some observations, right? I'm going to circle this right here. So 3 to the x plus 3, right? I know 3 to the something power equals 81, right? So let me think. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81, right? So I multiplied 3 by itself 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Right? Another way I could think of it, actually maybe this would be easier, right? I know 81 is 9 times 9. Right? Which is, each 9 is 3 times 3. Right? So 81 is 3 to the 4th power. So I know that this question mark has to be 4. It's 3 to the 4th power. So that means x plus 3 equals 4. Right? The question mark was what I circled up there. So if x plus 3 equals 4, then the x has to equal 1. Right? So there is a more official way to solve these that we, again, haven't taught you. So we're just trying to make some observations here. And then our last one, I'm going to circle that and put a question mark over it. We got to figure out what is going on up here. But whatever is going on over here, 2 to the question mark equals 8. Well, I know that 8 is 4 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. So 8 would be 2 times 2 times 2. All right, so that means that I have to multiply 2 by itself 3 times to get 8. So that means the question mark is 3. So 2x, I'm going to do it over here, 2x plus 12 equals 3. So now I'm just solving an equation like I did before. I actually end up with a negative here, so set it up the right way. So minus 12 from both sides. 2x equals negative 9, and then divide away the 2. So x equals negative 9 over 2. So sometimes you're going to have negative answers, sometimes you're going to have fractions, sometimes you're going to, you don't really want to make them decimals, but sometimes you're going to have things that aren't nice, even positive integers, and that's okay. As we move on in Math 2 and then Math 3, there's going to be a lot more of that, so don't think because you get a negative or a fraction that you're wrong. I think we did a pretty good job on that. Okay, so that is a video for all of our solving and our simplification of exponents.